Okay, so what were we talking about yesterday? Can anyone summarize the key points from yesterday? Where's my buddy Hassan, my new stud? Come here. Get up here. Hassan.
Yes.
How you doing today?
I'm good.
Have you, sit. Now, I didn't give you the assignment of doing anything last night, but did you do anything yet?
No.
No, okay. That's fine. You okay?
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
So tell me about the change that took place for you yesterday.
Well, basically, when you told me to concentrate on my feet and the breathing and the defocusing of the eyes, it made me get out of my head mainly, and I wasn't like constantly thinking about what's going on in my head. Rather, focusing on my feet allowed me to talk to the lady much calmer.
Right. Where's your state right now in front of the room?
Pardon?
How are you right now in front of the room?
I'm okay.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right. So, the idea being that if you have a very serious challenge in an area of life, it's probably because the system that you're processing through, internal dialogue, is part of the problem. You want to learn to broaden the range of systems inside of yourself that you can get access to. Okay? Now, remember your assignment. Today, I want you talking to women. I want you to practice choking and getting out of the choke state, right? Mm-hmm. Okay?
Okay.
And then see what happens. Because we want people to see that, in fact, these changes will hold. Fair enough?
Okay.
Not that I'm putting pressure on you. All right, sit down. So what I want everyone to understand, I want to get back to this idea of what state of mind are you in when you're doing this. How can you create a state of mind where you have the maximum leverage to use the other tools I'm going to teach you? Simple?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone's going to do this as a group. It's not going to make very interesting footage, but here's what I want you to do. You don't have to kick your shoes off, but I find that it helps. So what I want everyone to do is stand up. First of all, we're going to do a little breathing, okay? So what I want you to do is feel your feet on the ground. Can you feel the feeling of your feet pressing against the ground and the ground feeling back up against your feet? Right?
Yes.
You got that part? Okay. Now what I want you to do is soften your belly and just breathe into a soft belly. So see if you can hold your attention, what it's like if you put some of your attention on that, breathing into the belly, and some of the attention of your feet. And now what I want you to do, keeping your body grounded, loosen your upper body. Loosen your upper body, but keep your lower body grounded in. You get it? Now, defocus your vision, meaning, I don't mean cross your eye, I mean just look peripherally where you would see motion. And then, who's ever got a phone on, turn it off. If I hear any phones ringing, they will go in a glass of water the second time. Okay, thank you. Okay. Now, just put a little shit-eating grin on your face and just smile into your feet. Let that grin go into your feet and then open your eyes again. Okay. This is the state that you start out in. Now, I'm not saying that when you talk, no, you look like a zombie. You're too serious. There, put the smile on your face. Smile into your feet. Okay, good. Everyone have a seat. That's the basic state. The idea is, the orientation is you're grounded in your body. You have an outward focus of attention, and you're open to whatever experience takes place. You don't need a guarantee that you're going to succeed. Okay? I'm just reviewing what we talked about yesterday. So let's get back to that first 20 minutes. What are we going to do to generate curiosity and a sense of fun and playfulness? Correct? So curiosity, playfulness and fun, perhaps a little bit of sexual tension, and comfort. How are we going to do that? And how are we going to notice that that's what's happening when it's happening? Any clues? Any ideas? Yes?
Saying something unusual and then looking for an interested response.
Okay, that's a possibility. Somebody else?
Body language.
What?
Noticing how she reacts.
Okay.
Asking questions that
Okay.
need your imagination.
Right. Okay. Let me give you some starters. Here are the basics. Here are the basic ways to engage women. Okay? I know I said that it's not about formulas, but I'll give you basic formulas, okay? By the way, if you're sitting in the same place, change places after the lunch break. You get the information in a different way if you're sitting in a different place in the room. I'm serious about that. Doug, do we need these fluorescent lights to get sufficient light to film? Can we turn them off? I hate fluorescent lights. There's got to be a switch here somewhere. Okay. So, I just want to give you, at most, 3 ways to open. No more than that. If you have more than that, you're going to get confused. So, my favorite ways to open are to say something funny. And then to say, okay, that was really cheesy. For example, here's some ways that I've met women. One of my favorite things to do is meet women when they're walking dogs. There's a lot of dog owners in Venice and Marina del Rey, and they tend to do it at certain times of the day, like around 6 o'clock when they're home from work. So I know that's pick up the girl with the dog hour, okay? Now remember, my mind state is not, I'm gonna necessarily go Sarge women, although it is. But I also have the mind state of I'm going to be friendly to everybody. I'm going to give everybody just a little bit of validation. So the idea being that if you're going to radiate outward, you want to make sure you stay grounded down. Do you understand? Have you ever seen these people who are like puppy dogs? Hello, everybody. Yeah. Right? Women may let the puppy dog hump their leg a little bit, but they're not going to fuck the puppy dog unless they're from Tennessee. Only Americans would really get that joke. So, I'll say, so she's walking the dog, I'll say, oh, how cute. I'll look down at the dog and then she'll say, thank you. And I'll look at her and I'll say, and the dog isn't very bad either. Okay, and then when she laughs, I'll say, oh, okay, that was really over the top, but when I saw you, I thought, she probably gets approached 100 times a month. Come up with something different and see if she's got a sense of humor you could really like. Now, I want to take apart that second bit of language. The first bit, it's easy. How cute! And she's expecting that it's about the dog, right? So one of the things I do is I'm funny, but inside of being funny, I'm breaking the expectation. I'm not just being funny. I'm not just saying, hey, a rabbi, a priest, and a Muslim imam walk into a bar. And the bartender says, is this some kind of joke? I'm not being, well, hey, that's a certain level of humor you have to get. I'm not telling jokes to her. I'm being funny, but I'm also doing a few things simultaneously. First of all, I'm breaking the expectation. It's funny because it's unexpected. She thinks that I'm talking about the dog. Do you understand? So it breaks her expectation. You get it? So being funny, you don't need to take notes because this is going to be on the footage, but the general idea is to be funny by breaking the expected pattern. Breaking the expected pattern is very powerful. It's one of the components of humor. Now, some of the most humorless people I know are people who study humor but don't know how to use it. Do you get that bit?
Yes.
Or this is another one I've used. I'll walk by, I'll say, it's just that there's no way you can see someone so attractive and just not take advantage of the opportunity to meet them. And when they say, thank you, I'll say, I was talking about me, but it's great that you have confidence. You get it? So it's being funny in a way that breaks the expectation. Do you understand? Breaking expectation, breaking the expected response or pattern gets people's attention. Remember, that's all we're trying to do. We're evoking, we're pulling out their attention and evoking curiosity and playfulness and fun. I'm not trying to get them into bed that first 5 minutes. I think that would actually be kind of gross. I haven't had a chance to check out their energy or know what's going on. Are we following?
Yes.
Please, I need verbal feedback from everyone. I'm really tired and I want to be a great teacher for you. So, are we following?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, what else have I used? Those are, you don't need too much more than that. Here's another one. I've done this one before. I've walked, if the woman's in you have Staples here? Do you know what Staples is? Is to say to someone who's obviously not working there, say, excuse me, can you tell me where they keep the 3-hole punchers? And she'll say, I don't work here. I'll say, yeah, I know, but the people who work here are trolls and you look kind of cute. Okay, it's unexpected, right? So, again, unexpected and funny. Do you get it? Those are 3 really simple. It's really, really, really simple. Again, these things work anywhere, and it's simple. There's no reason you can't walk by someone in the supermarket. If you want to, you can do a pre-opener. Like sometimes I'll do a pre-opener. Like, excuse me, I just need to reach for the cream. If I'm at the Starbucks, excuse me, I just need to reach for the cream. Now, a pre-opener is simply designed to let her hear my voice and feel my presence and know that, number 1, I'm not dangerous, and number 2, there's something masculine about me. Women do respond to a strong voice. We might do some voice training here this weekend. All right, so I'll do something like that. There's no reason why you can't walk by a woman anywhere and say, do a pre-opener, and then I'll do something like, excuse me, but you're not Jamaican, are you? Because Jamaican me crazy. Stupid line. Okay, what do most women expect after a guy delivers a stupid line like that? What's their expectation?
I expect he's being serious.
Huh?
Silence.
To wait for validation.
No, I'm not asking what is their response, but what do women expect most guys are going to do after that?
Do you want to have a drink?
Or introduce themselves, or their expectation is their view is the guy is stupid and really thinks that's a good line. You understand? So when you say something like, are you from Tennessee because you're the only 10 I see, or are you Jamaican because Jamaican me crazy? When you say, okay, I know that was a little over the top, or I know that was kind of cheesy, but when I saw you, I thought, she probably gets approached 100 times a month. Come up with something different and see if she has a sense of humor you could really like. Now, what am I doing there? What's embedded inside of that?
You're screening her.
There's a lot of things embedded inside of that. First of all, what's embedded inside of that is a compliment. We talked about this last night, so it's an implied compliment. You probably get approached 100 times a month is implying, not stating, but implying that I think she's attractive. Obviously, she's not getting approached 100 times a month because she's grotesque. Do you get it? And then I'm revealing myself to her. I'm saying, I thought to myself, when I saw you, I thought to myself, so I'm being a little bit vulnerable. I'm revealing a little of myself. I thought to myself, she probably gets approached 100 times a month. Come up with something different and see if she has a sense of humor you could really like. Now, what is that implying? Somebody, what is
It's
it?
your choice, not her choice.
It's implying a couple of things. First of all, it's implying that her being pretty isn't enough. That I'm screening for a sense of humor. If I walked up to her and said, hi, I'm screening for a sense of humor because the fact that you're beautiful is not enough for me because I get lots of pretty women. Let's see what you got. If I said that directly, what response would I get?
Probably call you.
Curiosity.
Huh? No, you would get, no. So you go, come on, fuck you.
Challenge accepted.
No, you would get, what response would I get from her if I directly said that? She'd tell me to take a walk, right? Like, fuck you. Although, you know, it's so absurd, you might want to try it. So, we're breaking the expectation, and then we're setting the frame. We're setting the frame that we're challenging, that we're screening her. We're doing this all in the space of like 2 minutes. See, I think, I don't want to overcomplicate this. I want to keep it really simple. But I think women respond to emotional variety. When you can demonstrate to a woman that, number one, you're strong enough to be, I don't mean number 1, 2, 3, 4, that you do them in that order. When you demonstrate to a woman that you can be strong and commanding, that you know when to be vulnerable and reveal parts of yourself, that you know when to be playful and fun, and you know when to demonstrate an understanding of her world. Generally speaking, people will not accept you as an authority on where you should go unless they first accept that you're an authority on where they're at. So the other thing is, when you say, okay, that was over the top, you're demonstrating that you understand her, how she's thinking. Do you get it?
Yes.
So you're doing a lot in the space of just a small, tiny bit of time. You're already in that tiny bit of time, in that tiny bit of space, separating yourself out, marking yourself out, singling yourself out as someone who's extraordinary and different in that amount of time. Does this make sense?
Yes.
That's why I like these kind of openers. There are other openers that I'll do, but I like these kind of openers. So let's see, what else have I done? I like doing that one. Like, excuse me, but where do you keep the staple guns? I don't work here. Yeah, but the people who work here are trolls, and you're kind of cute, right? And then when she responds, I'll say, okay, that was a little over the top, but when I saw you, same thing. My name is. We want to keep it really simple. We don't want to give you too much to do. Is this making sense so far?
Yes.
Is this making sense to you?
Yes.
Can you see how you'd be doing a lot of things simultaneously here?
Yes.
Now there's one more tricky thing I'm doing. There's one more clever little piece of trickiness inside of that. When I say, see if she has a sense of humor you could really like. I'll do this. I'll say, see if, I saw you here, blah, 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 blah. See if she has a sense of humor you could really like. What am I doing there?
You paused there, is that right?
You told
Yeah.
her you're in command. You made the choice.
Yes, but I'm also offering the suggestion that, who's that you refer to, me or to her? She could really like me. When I say, see if she has a sense of humor, then I'm offering a suggestion you could really like. I'll subtly nod my head, and if I get this back, then I know she's really close. So that's one way of doing it. Being funny in a way that breaks expectation, one way or the other. Do you get it?
Yes.
The other way is to offer a compliment, but to phrase it oh, well, it's not always a compliment. Is to offer a compliment in a way where it's phrased unusually, or if she can't quite tell if it's a compliment or not. So offer a compliment that's phrased unusually, or phrased in a way where she can't quite tell if it's a compliment or not. Do you follow?
Yes.
Yes or no? If you're not sure, that's a good answer too. Let me tell you what I mean. I pick up a lot of women at airports and on airplanes. I was at the gate to fly from Los Angeles to San Luis Obispo. It's a very short flight. It's maybe 45 minutes. They put you on a puddle jumper, right? Up a two-engine propeller plane. Was it 2 engines? Yeah, God. And I was kind of holding court in the holding court there in the gate area. I noticed this very athletic woman, and so when they called it's time to board, I walked next to her, and I said, "You have athlete scrawled all over you." And she said, "Is that a compliment?" I said, "Well, I don't know. Do you like looking athletic?" And she said, "Yeah, I think it's a good thing." So we wound up sitting next to her. She wound up inviting me to spend the weekend at her place. Kind of a crazy woman. But I gave her, when I say to women, "You have athletes scrawled all over you," it's kind of a compliment, but is it really a compliment? Is it not a compliment? They're not quite sure, so that's a really good one. So I'll say, "You have athletes scrawled all over you. What's your sport?" And sometimes I'll say, "Excuse me, can I ask you a question? Do you do a martial art? Can you fight?" Now, why do you think that might be a compliment, but she might not be sure? What could I be saying there? Somebody.
You look like you've been beaten around the head.
No. What am I saying? That she's got super bulky muscles, that, she's super, she can't tell. Actually, what I'm really saying is you got a great body, babe. Women are used to hearing the following things, that they have great bodies. "Wow, you've got great legs," or "Are you a dancer?" Right? No. But if you say, "Can you do a martial art? Can you fight?" They'll say, "Well, I do kickboxing." No, it doesn't count. Sometimes they say, "Yes, I can. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I do Krav Maga and I can kill people really fast." I'm like, "Okay, see you later." What I'm really saying is you have a great body. But if they say, no, I can't fight, I'll go, "Okay, I'm going to take your lunch money." Right? Boom. Getting the conversation going by being funny. "You guys, I'm going to make you do jumping jacks because you're dead this morning. Wake up. Wake up. Are you awake?
Yes.
Do I have to fight you? Can you fight? Do you do martial art?
Yes.
You do. What do you do?
Kung Fu.
Kung Fu? What's that on your shirt? He's good. He didn't look down. Okay, so this is just a basic idea of you can open by being funny. You can give an unusual compliment. Sometimes this one has really worked. I know this is going to seem crazy to you guys, but I'll walk up, I'll go, "Wow, someone was hit with a pretty stick." And then I'll look at her and say, "Wow, someone was hit with a pretty stick twice." Sometimes I'll leave it there, and other times when they say, "Oh my God, thank you," I'll say, "I was talking about me, but it's good you have some confidence." You get it? It's kind of, what would you British say, a cheeky monkey? Right? I'm being a cheeky little monkey. And then the same thing, "I'm glad you laugh." I'll say, "Okay, I'm glad you laughed because when I saw you, I thought she probably gets approached 100 times a month. Come up with something different, blah, blah, blah." Now, with a much younger woman, I wouldn't do that because then I'm 54 years old. There are women who like older guys, but you have to screen in a certain way. Do we get this?
Yes.
Now, I don't want to break you up into groups and have you practice picking each other up with these lines because I'll vomit. That's not what I want to have happen. Yes, question.
The main principle, could it be confusion as a doorway?
No, I'm not confusing them. I'm just doing the unexpected. I'm not confusing them. I'm just oftentimes doing the unexpected. Breaking the pattern. Not all the time, but sometimes. Yeah.
Do you speak to barmaids? Because I think of all the girls that are out there, the ones that are most kind of whatever.
Do I speak to barmaids? I don't know what's a barmaid.
A barmaid is a lady that serves drinks in a drinking establishment.
Oh, I don't drink, but I'll talk to anybody.
But they've had every line chat to them from all sorts of guys. I think
No, they haven't.
They're very good.
No, they haven't. And if they have, that's great, because you use the line and then you admit, "Okay, that was really stupid, but I thought you probably get hit on, you probably get approached or talked to 100 times a month. I better come up with something different." See if you got a sense of humor. You get it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, where do you go from there? suggestions?
You introduce yourself.
What's that?
You introduce yourself.
Yeah, after you've introduced yourself, where do you go from there?
Curiosity, intrigue.
Okay. What I like to do from there, there's two possible pathways from there. There's two possible ways you could go.
Quiz or game?
Huh?
Quiz or game?
Okay, well, here's what we can do. We can, sometimes I'll go to a non sequitur. I'll say, so, you guys are going to think this is crazy, but I'll do this. I'll say, so you're a roller, a folder, and I say tosser, but tosser means something different in Britain. In your case, you'd say, are you a roller, folder, or a thrower? Does anyone here actually use this? Yes? Has it worked for you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Tell the audience, how's it work for you?
It works beautifully. It's a great opener for a lot of things. I mean, sometimes I'll say, what is that?
That's the response I want. What do you mean by that? Right? Are you a roller, a folder, or a thrower?
And sometimes I'll sort of like just wait for them to sort of like process it and try to figure it out.
Right. They're gonna try and figure out. They'll say, what does that mean? I'll say, okay, so you're going on vacation. The suitcase is open in front of you. You ever wanted to go somewhere where you just feel you can stop? See yourself stripping away from all the tension and everything that makes you feel that way. Instead, you just want to get away, right? So you go into a place like that. Do you roll your clothes, do you fold them, or do you throw them? No matter what their answer is, they'll say, sorry. If she says folder, I'll say I'm a thrower. Sometimes I've heard them say, is that a deal killer? I'll say, well, we'll see. So you can do something like that. You can do a non sequitur. Or if she's got something interesting going on that I can talk to her about, I'll just start talking about that. So roller, folder, thrower. Sometimes I like to do something I stole it from Neil Strauss. I confess I did, called the 5-question game. Do you guys know the 5 questions game? Mm-hmm. Some of you do, some of you don't. So, are you willing to be on camera? Yeah, come here. All right, so have a seat. So here's how the 5 questions game would work. I'd say, okay, we're going to play a little game called the 5 questions game. This works really well in a social setting too. Okay, we're going to play the 5 questions game. I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and you've got to get them all wrong. If you get even one of them right, you lose. If you get them all wrong, you win, I'll give you $10. If you get even one of them right, you lose, I get to punch you in the arm. Okay?
So I've got to get them all wrong.
Let's get them all wrong. You ready? Okay, what's your name? So, first question, what's your name?
Mary.
Right? What city are we in?
Manchester.
What planet are we on?
Mars.
By the way, 90% of them say Mars. Just so you know. How many questions was that?
6.
Okay, but you've played the game before, Helen. No? Okay, roll up your sleeve. Roll up your sleeve. This is gonna hurt. Which arm? Wham. Okay, and then I'll say, so it depends on the situation. So like I've done this at, sometimes I go to this thing called Internations. They have one here in London. It's for people from different countries who come together and look to me. I'll say, so anyway, after I've introduced myself, I'll say, so you know what I like to do in a setting like that? Are you, when you're in a setting like this where there's a lot of people, are you more a people watcher, or like, do you like to watch people?
I'm a people watcher.
You know what I like to do? I like to play this game. I like to play this game. What's his chat up line? Right? So, tell you what. And one thing I wanted to stand up a minute. Okay. Turn this way. As soon as possible in the conversation, I want to get either at an angle or side by side with the person. I don't want to stay like this. This is confrontational. It's what people are doing when they're first getting to know each other. Couples don't stand this way when they talk. Sit down just a minute. And couples don't sit across from each other when they talk, they're usually side to side. I want to get that person side to side as quickly as possible. A lot of this is about angles, right? I'll say, so, I'll tell you what, you pick out a guy, and I'll tell you what I think his chat up line is. Pick someone out. Yeah, you know what I think his chat up line is? If I told you you had a beautiful body, would you hold it against me? That's stupid. All right, I'm going to pick a guy out. See that guy over there? The guy with a big furry hat? You know what I think his chat up line is?
Tell me.
Are you from Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see. Stupid. But you know, it's amazing what some filthy perverts will say to women. I can always pick out the pervert. Like that guy sitting over there. You know what I think his line might be? Can you imagine if we went over into the corner and just started making out? We really, really love it. And then if I get I know, okay, there we go. And if I get, I go, what pigs some men are. Okay? This is an example of a pattern called quotes. Do you understand? And you see, I start out by being playful, and then I introduce something. Oh, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. This is not a pattern. Hi. No. Okay. So, wow, that sneezed the idea right out of my head. So, this is a pattern called quotes. With quotes, you quote what someone else says, and if they like it, then you can move with it. If they don't like it, you can move away from it. It gives you an opportunity to have some flexibility. This could be useful, right? And then and then from there I'll say, depending on how it goes. Then what I want to do is see, I start quote closing the woman right away. The first time a woman laughs at something I say, I'll do what I call a friendly touch. I'll put like a hand here or something like that, right? And I'm progressively testing, so I'll do this and like I'll lean into her, like I'll say, see that guy over there? And I want to see how does her body respond to my leaning in like this. You probably heard "don't lean in," fucking assholes. No, I'll say when I do this. When I say "see that guy over there," I'm testing. You know, I got my knee against hers. What is she doing? Is she like pulling away? Is she stiffening? And then I'll lean against her for the next one. I do what I call the relaxed lean. My muscles aren't stiff. Now, be into it. Assume I'm someone you're really attracted to me. Okay, so when I lean into you, what do?
Lean back.
Yeah, you lean. She leans right with me. Okay. I believe the clothes start to come off the minute you start demonstrating a tiny little bit of that, creating a little bit of that sexual tension. What are some ways to create that sexual tension? You do it with angles, with, you know, some of this. You also do it by looking in the eye just a little bit longer than you would with someone who is a stranger. You hold eye contact just a little bit more. And consider it like safe cracking. You don't know how many numbers are in that combination. It could be just 2 digits. So I'm testing the safe door to see, does it open? Does it pull open after 1 spin of the dial, 2 spins? If it'll open after 1 spin of the dial, I don't want to spend a whole night talking. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? Someone said, you know, Ross, I did the Discovery Channel pattern and so on this woman, and she looked at me and said, all it's going to take for me to fuck your brains out all night long is 1 drink. So I went on to do this pattern, and she walked away. What should I have done? What should I have said? You should have said, bartender, 1 more. That's an exception to the rule if she really means it. Don't buy drinks, don't spend money. All right, so, oh, by the way, are you enjoying this? You having fun? Okay, good. So there's that, I'm going to do a friendly touch, and at some point I'm going to say, hey, come here, just for some, let's go over here. This is sort of like a commanding touch. I've got her behind the arm, right? I'm going to move her just a little bit. And we'll move. Sit back down. All right, so we're doing this, and then what I want to do from here, my preference is to get curious about the other person, and then to use their responses and begin to sexualize their responses. So I would say something like, so anyway, all that joking and kidding around aside, I find that I learned so much about a person by discovering where they find their sense of indulgence, where they find their escape. Like when you really, really want to indulge yourself, and just get something for yourself that you really want. Just for you, what do you like to do?
Eat chocolate.
Really? You like to eat chocolate? Or I might ask a different question. So there are certain themes. There are themes like indulgence. There are themes like escape. When you want to just escape and get away from everything, what do you like to do?
Go
Right.
to Vegas.
Go to Vegas? You know, there's a saying. Have you ever heard this saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? Have you heard that saying?
I've heard that saying.
Yeah. I think that speaks to a truth about women. That inside of every woman, there's a part of you that asks yourself the question, if you could go somewhere and nothing you did would ever get back to anyone who you know, what do you imagine yourself really wanting to do? I find when you let those thoughts run through your mind, really let the feelings get stronger and stronger, it's the kind of thing that can make a person realize there's a new direction you have to have for yourself. Anyway, and then, you understand? I'm going to unpack that language for you shortly. I could go there. But what I prefer to do is find something about them that I can really genuinely get curious about. Something about them, some kind of passion or something they really love to do, something that they're into, something that I can really, really get curious about. Because I think getting curious about other human beings is a wonderful pathway for creating connections. People say to me, how did you get started in speed seduction? When did you get started? Boring. But if they say to me, how did you come up with all this stuff? That gets me interested. That gets me interested. Asking people about their processes, their moments of uncovering and discovering. If someone said to me, what was your moment of discovering that you had a passion for teaching? That would get me going. So let's say you're an actress. Play along with me. I'll say, wow. What was your moment of discovering that you really, really loved acting?
Well, it was back in high school when I did a play for the first time. Kind of signed up to it, not really thinking I'd enjoy it, but I did. And that took the whole thing off.
Really? So, isn't it interesting how sometimes you don't know that you're really going to enjoy something, but when you just let yourself have the experience, suddenly you can take everything just gets taken off, right?
Exactly.
Do you understand? I'm going to use their expressions. I'm going to use what I call personal trance words. Sometimes I hear things like, well, it was just blah, 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 karma, because blah, 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 blah. There was a certain energy, blah, 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 blah. There's a certain destiny. You ever heard women use words like karma, energy, destiny? Yes or no? Huh?
This is in California.
Everywhere. Everywhere they use it. I don't care. Connection, click, I just connected with it. These are what I call personal trance words. Hey, Mullen, I think you are going to have to go to the Boots and get me some lozenges, or if they have them here at the, for my throat. Lozenges, you know. No, they're like candies, but they're for the throat. They call them strepsils or, yeah, all right, thank you, dear. Oh, you have some? You're my savior. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. So, let me develop this concept of personal trance words. Sort of, but not quite. Oftentimes, when you ask women about, I'm going to ask them questions about where they find their escapes, where they find their passions, moments of discovery, uncovering. They're going to give me certain words that have no specific meaning. Oh, it was just, so you love, what do you love to do when you want to have fun? Oh, I like to skydive. Really, what is it you love about skydive? Blah, 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 blah. Thrill, blah, 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 blah. Adrenaline, blah, 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 blah. Feeling utterly free. I'm going to repeat those words back when I give my response. These words, I call them personal trance words. These are words that, to the woman, hold a lot of meaning. For that woman, I see you, I'll take your question. For the woman, they hold a lot of meaning. They contain, subjectively, they refer to a lot of things that are important to her. So, I'm going to use those. I'm going to feed them back to her. Who here has a computer that uses something like Mac operating system or Windows, right? There's not too many other choices. Anyone here remember MS-DOS when you had to type in the commands, right?
Yeah.
These personal trance words that women have, they're sort of like those icons on their desktop. And they represent millions of lines of code inside. So I'm going to repeat those words back because their unconscious mind thinks it's them speaking, and it has a lot of meaning for them. So if she says karma, energy, destiny, whatever it is, I'm going to repeat that back. Do you understand? But I'm going to sexualize in between my repeating it back. I'm going to put in sexual metaphor. So if she says, well, you know what it was about acting? It was, I just felt a sense of destiny. There was a sense of destiny, and there's a sense of destiny, blah, 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 because I could become anyone, blah, 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 and I felt the thrill of freedom. I would say, you know, I think you really learn about people when you find out where you feel your sense of destiny, and you can become whoever you want to be becoming. Because you know that there's just a real thrill here. My friend says it's like you can see a new direction that you really want to feel inside yourself. Now, when I use the sexual metaphor, when I say see a new direction, what am I picturing in my mind? I'm picturing my nude erection, right? And she's taking it. You may think sexual metaphor is nonsense. If you're not in rapport, and if she's not already engaged in the conversation, it won't work. But if you're in rapport with that person, and they're really engaged in the conversation, and you're already kind of like sexualized it a little bit, and you're using their own trance words, then their unconscious mind will interpret that ambiguity of new direction according to what you're visualizing. Do you get it?
Yeah.
And then if I see her really, really getting turned on, I'll say, like, let's say, you know that look, the doggy dinner bowl look, like that. I'll say, I have to tell you something. I have to ask you a question.
Go on.
if you could name one thing about yourself that's uniquely attractive, that would keep any guy coming back for more, what do you think it would be? I know one. I'd just pull her into me. I wouldn't pull her hair, or I'd do that. If I see she's already giving me the doggy, that's what I'll do. And then I'll change the subject into something that's less, I'll back up and back off of that and just talk about anything. Fluff talk, the weather, ordinary chump guy talk. Why? Because every time I go back to sexualizing it, she accepts it a little bit more. You see, the average frustrated chump cannot create exciting feelings in women. The pickup artist or the guy who sometimes gets women, the hit and miss kind of guy, he can create it now and again. But the guy who's really good knows how to feed little bits of it to her and get her invested in her attraction to you. Listen to this learning, guys. It's not, this is, if you get this idea, you'll be the chick whisperer, the clit whisperer, however you want to put it. I'm sorry this is going to ruin the soundtrack, but I have to do this a little bit. You hear the sound of me sucking. Some people say you suck all the time, Ross. Okay? The idea is this. It's not enough, just because a woman is feeling some kind of attraction. And initially that attraction, I say there are two kinds of attraction. I was talking to a friend of mine about men and women, the difference about men and women. I think I understand something. Do you think men and women understand each other? No. I think that's kind of true, but I think I do understand something that my friend said about women. He said, just because a woman is feeling some attraction doesn't mean you're turned on. Just because you're turned on doesn't mean you're really aroused. And just because you're really aroused doesn't mean it's on right now. You hear what I'm saying? I'm giving her all these suggestions. I said, my friend says just because a woman's feeling attraction doesn't mean you're really feeling desire. Just because you're feeling desire, a woman's feeling desire, just because a woman's feeling the desire doesn't mean you're starting to get really turned on. And just because a woman's starting to feel really turned on doesn't mean you can picture something happening and you know it's on. You see, I talk about a woman and then I give the suggestion to her. Do you see how it works? So listen to this is really evil. Do you want to hear the evil stuff? Yes. The unfair stuff? Yes. The street fighting down to the ground. You don't care, you're going to bust all the rules and capture and lead her imagination or emotions? Because I want to give you that. It'll wake me up and make me happier. Would it make you happier? Yes. Oh, good. So I started having, this is another great topic. Once you've introduced yourself and you're doing a little bit of funny stuff, look at that guy over there. Some guys are so crude. You know, last night I was in a bar and a guy says, what if you were to imagine me eating your pussy so good that you wanted it to really go on? I walked up to the guy and I punched him in the face. The pig. I mean, did he really expect a woman to imagine just how good that could be and want to take action on it? Asshole. Anyway, what do you think about these collateralized debt obligations that they're selling in America? I hate them. I think they've ruined the entire market. You know what they do is the banks make bad loans, right? They charge their fee for making the bad loan, then they turn around and they package those loans into a security and they sell them on the open market. But the problem is, no one knows what those securities are worth because they've taken all sorts of loans, bad ones, good ones. And what's happened is the pension funds in Europe, like Greece and Italy and blah, blah, bought those securities, and when they went bad, suddenly they can't pay their workers, their pensions. That's why there's those riots going on. And guess what? The same companies who did these mortgage-backed securities, on the side were selling bets against them. You could also buy bets that those mortgage-backed securities were going to fail, right? So they bought a whole bunch of, they created these bets and they bought a whole bunch of them, and then you could bet against those bets, saying we bet that they're not going to fail. So they made money off of those, and then they still went bankrupt and went to the US government for a bailout. I think that's about as rude as a guy saying, I can't wait to put my cock deep inside you. Fuckers. Anyway, so, but do you see what I did there? The conversation is, do you think men and women understand each other? So I'm doing all this. I have the friend who says, and I kind of believe this, just because a woman is feeling attracted doesn't mean you're feeling desire. Just because a woman is turned on doesn't mean you're really, really feeling how good it would be. And just because you're feeling how good it could be doesn't mean you could see something really happening, something you want to take action on. I think a woman has to invest in that. There has to be something that lets her know that she wants to do it. Guys are different. Guys get aroused and we're ready right then and there. This is true, by the way. This is really true. Just because a woman is feeling arousal doesn't mean it's on. And just because it's on, she could at any moment back up and go, you know, I'm not sure, I don't know, right? So this is true. You got to get her invested. And my way of getting them invested is give them a little bit and then pull it away. And then when I give them more, every time I go back, her ability to respond gets better and better and better. Does this make sense?
Yes.
She gets more and more comfortable with it. Yes?
How do you know when she's ready?
You test. You never quite know, but you have to test. If she's, you understand? If she's like looking at me and her lips are getting, oh, women do this thing. You ever see this thing where they make that kind of like tiny little O with their mouth? Like, have you seen it? It's like there's a little O that open, a little tiny, they don't quite open their mouth, but it's like there's a, right? Have you seen that little O? You know what I'm talking about? Or they do the eye shift, they're looking back and forth with their eyes. Or they put their hands on my dick. These are some ways. These are some subtle cues, right? Okay? So the point being is, I'll ask some questions about what they like. I'll bring up certain topics like, do you think men and women? But anyway, now, I can tell you, so that's my understanding about women. I'll get her feedback. I don't know, tell me the truth, Ellen. Don't play a game with me here. Do you think men and women understand each other?
I don't think it's as simple as that. I think some women understand men and vice versa, but at the same time I think a lot of men don't understand women and a lot of women don't understand men.
Right.
So I think there is that.
Well, how would you like to understand all men for all time for the rest of your life?
That would be good.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a joke. I got to warn you. It's a little bit filthy, but it will explain the psychology of all men for all time. Why am I doing this? I'm creating the incentive, the motivation for her to respond. It's called in hypnosis response potential. If I said, hey, I just heard a joke, do you want to hear it? That might work. But if I make it about, oh, this joke is going to let you understand all men for all time, she's going to want to hear it, right? Even if she thinks I'm full of shit. So, would you like to hear it? Okay. There's this guy, and he has a crush on Paris Hilton. Don't ask me why, but there's no accounting for why. You find someone really, really attractive. I'm using the joke as a way to embed suggestions and commands. Do you get it? There's no telling why you find someone really, really attractive. Anyway, so the guy discovers that Paris Hilton is going on a cruise, and they're selling cabins on the ship. It's for $1 million. So he raids his children's college trust fund, takes all the money out of it. He mortgages their house, sells the car, sells a kidney, and raises the money he needs. And he gets the last cabin available, right next to Paris Hilton. Just as he's getting to his cabin, who do you think he sees slipping into the doorway of the cabin right next to him?
Paris Hilton.
Exactly, Paris Hilton. And he starts to feel your heart pound with excitement. He starts to feel your heart pound with excitement. You see what I'm doing? The I you shift, the he you shift, the they you shift. He starts to feel your heart just pound with excitement. And Then he starts to hear this noise like and moaning coming from the other room. It's like, oh my God. Like this person who you really want, they're doing something that's really, really hot. Anyway, somehow there's a sudden lurching and the ship rolls over and starts to sink. He washes up on the shore of the desert island. Who do you think washes up half naked onto the shore? Their clothes almost ripped entirely off.
Paris Hilton.
You are a smart one. Yes, Paris Hilton. And so she's halfway dying so he pumps the water out of her lungs, gives her CPR, and she comes to and she says, oh my God, you saved my life. From now on, you're my master. I'll do anything. What do you want to do with me? So he looks at her, he says, well, I wanted to fuck you since the first moment I saw you. I want to fuck you in ways that you'd be fucked if you knew this could be your last chance ever. So for the next 6 days, they go at it, right? They just do nothing but go at it like animals. After that, she learns to hunt and fish. She becomes a perfect archer. She kills wild boar for him, cooks for him, makes clothes out of the native fabrics, and I don't know. She just takes care of him hand and foot. But after like 6 weeks, he starts looking really sad, really down. She says, Master, whatever is wrong? He says, Paris, would you do anything for me? She says, of course, Master, you saved my life. I would do anything for you, yes. He says, well, do you see my suit and jacket that I was wearing when the boat sank? I want you to put it on. She says, okay. He says, you see that little bit of eyebrow pencil you were able to save? I want you to paint a beard and mustache on yourself. She said, well, I don't know why you want me to do that, Master, but okay, I'll do that. He says, no, I want you to go take a walk by the beach. So she's walking on the beach. He comes running up to her, tugging on her jacket, going, dude, you'll never guess who I'm fucking. And that explains the psychology of all men, right? What am I doing? I'm putting the quotes inside of a joke, right? The format is a joke. Sometimes it's, oh, look at that guy over there. Can you believe what he would say? Sometimes I'm doing it by getting really curious, genuinely curious. Like, I met this actress from, anyone ever see the show called Lost?
Yes. Yeah.
I met one of the actresses from that show. It just happened, and I asked her, I was talking to her, what do you love most about the craft of acting? And she said, you know what I love about it? It's a chance to totally escape and become another person. And then the really cool thing is I'm not trying. I let the character come through me. You understand? So I just feed it back. Wow, isn't it great when you can feel this character come inside you and fill you up so you can becoming a different, you understand? Just feeding it back. But I do get curious, being generally curious about people. There's inside of this, there is a genuine curiosity. I'm playing on stage. Now, also I'm doing some other things. Do you mind, change seats with me? Generally speaking, I like, it doesn't really matter, but I often like to sit on this side of people. It's just a preference. But at some point I'm gonna say, you know what? I'll be right back. I gotta go to the restroom, and I'll give her one of these. It's what I call a sensual touch, a seductive touch. I remember, this is a true story. I was doing a seminar in New York, and this woman showed up very briefly at the end. She was a friend of my massage therapist at the time. And I said, oh, let's go grab a bite to eat. So we're sitting there, and I grabbed her hand, and I said, you know, I was showing the guys something in the seminar that if you just massage the thumb, some women kind of really like it. Sorry, I'm a little sticky from the from the lozenge. Some women really like it. And she said, is that supposed to be going between my legs? I said, excuse me? She said, that's going right between my legs. I said, yes, of course, that's where it's supposed to be going. And then she said to me something interesting. She said, "Are you staying at the same hotel they're doing the seminar?" I said, "Yes, of course I am." She said, I've always wanted to see what those rooms look like. Do you mind if I come up and look at your room?" This is what I call the female interruption mechanism. Have you ever heard a woman make an excuse? When I was in college, I used to hear all sorts of things. "I gotta wash my hair," or excuse me. I've heard things like all sorts of excuses. "Oh, I gotta wash my hair," or "I'm sorry." One woman actually canceled on me saying, "My parakeet is sick." What? Your parakeet's fucking sick? The same excuse mechanism that women will use, to get out of something if they don't want it, they'll use to get into something if you really do want it. Hear the suggestion? So, there's different kind of touches. Sophia, you want to play? You ready to play? Come on up.
I have no idea what's happening.
That's right. That's what I want. Have a seat. Actually, sit to my left. You were fun last night. That was great. I mean, in the seminar, we didn't. You were great with him. That was funny, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm good. It's good to, you can just let go. Be Freudish. You don't need to know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, I think so.
We're talking about different kind of touches. I was saying there's friendly touch. So every time I make a woman laugh, I'll do something like this. And I also talked about how early on in the interaction, I want to sit close as possible, side by side. I don't want to be in front of a person. I want to sit to the side of someone. And I talked about how I'll like test to see if someone's interested by leaning into them. I do a relaxed lean. So she's not into it. She's kind of leaning away. And then I said there are different kind of touches. And we were about to talk about sensual touch. So I said there's certain places. Like there's the palm of the hand. Right? There's the thumb. Wow, your hands are cold.
Yeah, I just
Why?
arrived.
Oh, okay. But then, here, can you take this off? Or is it, tell the girl to take off her clothes, and she does parts of it. I'm joking.
I know.
Somewhat. Here, let me have that. All right? We'll put this here where it's at. Here, come over to this side, actually. Okay, and so she's got a lot of hair. But my favorite spot to touch is right here in the back of the neck. We'll show you in a minute. We'll have her turn around. But there's a spot right here, the back of the neck, the nape of the neck. I'm not going to use my fingers, right? But instead what I do is I just take the palm of my hand. I got to go to the restroom. I'll be right back. And I'll do one of these. That feels really good, doesn't it?
Of course.
Yeah, it does, of course. Okay. So, the palm of the hand, back here, right? So I'll just say, also there's comforting touch. I'll go, I'm having a good time with you. You know what? I go to the restroom. I'll be right back. And I'll just do one of these. And then I'll let her sit with it. Why don't I just keep doing it and pushing down on it and do it more and more and more?
Becomes obvious.
Not that it becomes obvious, it becomes too much. I want to give the cat a little taste of the cheese. You understand? Or cats like cheese, the mouse. I want to give the cat a little taste of the mouse and then take the mouse away. Huh?
It's kind of brutal.
I know. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So she can sit with it. She can sit with it and go, ooh, that was really nice. You understand? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, if I really wanted to play, I could do more with that. But at that point, that's all I would do. Now, we were talking about something. They said, how do you know when a woman is ready? And I said, I used the metaphor of working with a safe, right? I don't know how many times I need to turn the dial. The door may open after one turn, so I'm kind of tugging on the safe door. If I do this lean and react the way you would react if you found me really creepy and I leaned into you. Right, that's not disinterest. Now be neutral about it. You're not interested, but you're not disinterested. If I lean into you, okay, now be really into it. I lean into you. Okay, well that's really into it. But thank you. No, wow. Just tell them what to do. This is great. I love it. You follow me?
Yes. Yeah.
So, let me ask you something. We'll play a little bit with you. Okay. I happen to know. Tell them what you do. For real. Tell them what you do for a living.
I do exactly the same like Ross Jeffries, but in a different way. So I'm a German dating coach and personal coach, and I work with men and women. I give them personal coaching with a focus on flirting and dating advice, and also on relationship advice.
So I find, thank you, I appreciate that. I find I learn a lot about a person by learning what do they find the most enjoyable about what they do, and what do they find the most challenging. So if you don't mind my asking, what do you find the most enjoyable about doing all this teaching and coaching?
Working with people, so getting in touch and seeing them getting in progress and developing new stuff and finding their self.
So seeing people progressing in their development and finding themselves.
Yeah.
And when you see that happening and you realize that that's what you're assisting in creating, how good does that make you feel?
Really good.
Really good, yeah. And so I get that that's what you enjoy the most, but what do you find the most challenging in doing it? What do you find is the biggest challenge in doing that job?
And the biggest challenge, it depends. The biggest challenge is when I work with men and when they start testing
What do you mean?
in this male way, this like fighting, like checking out if I'm really knowing what I do. And so
Well, how do you know when, hold on a minute,
and
how do you
fun
know,
too.
so how do you know when that's happening? How do you know when you're being challenged or tested?
It's a feeling. You see it, and it comes with some questions.
Well, here's what I mean. Sometimes what appears to be a challenge in a teaching situation is they just are genuinely curious. They're asking a question, maybe not in the most elegant way. They're not trying to challenge authority. They just don't quite understand. How can you tell that difference? But by the way, I agree with you. It's great to see that process of people developing and growing and becoming who they want to be. I think when you find that you're becoming more and more who you want to be, it's an opportunity to move in a new direction. Really, I think that's what you're talking about, assisting men in moving in a new direction. And the thing about new directions is sometimes you already know you want to go there, but other times, this new direction really, really can take you by surprise. It can create an opening.
Shall I answer your last question?
Yes. Yes, please. Please.
There are two different kinds of questions.
Right.
One question is you see that the person really wants to know something and wants to get better.
Right.
And the other kind of question is when you see it doesn't have anything to do with the topic. The person just wants to know how you react. And this is the question that's challenging. Yeah.
I get it. And in your, if you don't mind my asking, in my personal life, sometimes women are a little bit, I have to kind of phrase what I do in a way that makes it acceptable. They're a little bit suspicious. They can't tell if the attraction that's starting to develop is something I'm engineering or it's something that is arising because you really, really are starting to feel it for yourself. So, do you ever find that challenge coming up in your personal life?
Yes, but it's long ago. I was much more naive.
Okay. But now you know how to handle it. Like if some guy who you're really, really interested in feels challenged by what you do, what do you tell him? Like I've said to women, I have said to women, what's coming, guys? I have said to women, what am I about to do? I'm about to quote something.
Yeah.
I have said to women, if you were to wake up tomorrow morning and whatever it is, I don't know what it is that goes inside that lets you know you really, really want to be with a guy. If you were to wake up tomorrow, this is what I say to them, if you were to wake up tomorrow morning and feel totally, absolutely, really turned on by the idea of sleeping with me, would it matter to you whether it was totally organic or I engineered it, as long as you realized it felt good and it was what you wanted to do anyway?
And what do the women answer?
Some of them say, the really fun ones say, I don't care if you're tricking me, as long as I'm enjoying it, what do I care? Those are the really fun ones. The other ones, they're lousy fucks anyway. So, by the way, where are you staying? I'm in a cozy hotel. It's not a far walk from here.
I think I'm a lousy fuck, I'm sorry.
You do?
I belong to these other girls.
You do? Oh, well.
Sorry.
As my father used to say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. But anyway, as I was saying, I just sneezed. I should really wash my hands before I do any more touching. So. Let me take 2 minutes. 2-minute break, okay?